Welcome back everyone to Blindfold Chess Training Day 17. Today what we're doing is we're playing a live game. So I'm going to be playing out a game, two games to be specific, and you're going to be following it along. Now when we're done with this, if you really want to go after this yourself, you also want to play a couple games blindfolded on this website. It's called chessinsights.org, and simply this is slightly easier than normal blindfold chess, and that's why it's day 17. We have the board that we can see if we ever need it. So I recommend you can look at this once per game if you really lose the position. And also we see all the moves that are available to us. When we try this again on day 21 and day 42 and subsequent days, we won't have this feature. So we're going to get started. And if you're wondering why I'm wearing a suit, I'm also wondering why I'm wearing a suit. So that's okay. That's all good in the hood. Yeah, that's okay to say. Alright, make your move, computer is waiting. I will start with the move e4. The opponent plays e5. So e4, e5, we already know this opening. It's called the e4, e5. And we will respond with knight f3. Knight f3, they play knight f6. This is the Petrov defense. I will take knight takes e5. And we've actually had this in a previous episode, so this should be all good. Knight takes e5, they play d6. I hope this computer is not on a super high level. I hope it's not Stockfish that I'm versing. I'll just check. Okay, they're 1100. I'm good. I'm good to go. That's also a thing. We will up the elo of the bots as we get higher. So knight takes e5, d6. We'll play knight f3. It's the common move. Just bring the knight back. And d5. What is that move? That's a terrible move. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, knight takes e5, d6 here, d5. Now I can simply take the pawn. E takes d5, and I'm just up a pawn there. Where the opponent has lost both central pawns, and I've only lost the e pawn. The knight is on f3, and the knight is on f6. So that's what I'm thinking about in my head. d5, I will take ed5. ed5, queen d5. Okay. I can trade the queens and go into an endgame. Sorry, I can't trade the queens and go into an endgame. What am I talking about? For some reason, yeah, the d pawn for us is still there, so that's all good. The opponent has the queen on d5, the knight on f6. We have the knight on f3. Pawn structure intact. Their bishops can both move along the diagonals. And okay, here we'll play the move knight c3, just attacking the queen. They will move the queen. They will move the queen to c6. And this is a terrible move. So immediately I see, once the queen goes to c6, something opens up. So you should have this in your mind that, okay, the queen's on c6. What pieces of mine are open? The bishop can move. I immediately know that bishop b5 is always a check. And bishop b5 would hit the queen on c6. But if I play bishop b5, it would pin the queen as well. But you might be thinking, okay, but they'll take it. But there's a knight on c3 now. So bishop b5 actually wins a queen for free. So we will play the move bishop e5, and we will actually be winning a queen there. He plays the move bishop e6, bishop d6. So he understands the threat, but why am I saying he? I guess it's like player one theory, yeah? Yeah, bishop d6, so he moves the bishop out. Now it's important, even though you're up a queen, in a blindfold game, you never lose focus, because even though you're up a queen, you could you could really lose the game. Like it's not impossible. I've done it before many times. So bishop d6. Now bishop takes c6. Very obvious move. Check. Hopefully they take with the knight to make the game a bit more spicy. You know, I don't want to just win this that easy. Knight takes c6. Okay, good. Now we take stock of the position. There's a bishop on d6. There's a knight on c6. There's a knight on f6. We have a knight on c3 and a knight on f3. Our pawn is still on d2, so a good move here, I would say, is just to move the pawn up. So looking at the position, I think d4 would be a nice move. D4 pawn is protected by the f3 knight. If they play knight e5, I can always take with the c3 knight. So I believe I will play this move. And just for you guys to really see this position, if you're losing track, I will play it out for you. But to me, it's very evident what's going on. So I will just show you the position very quickly. Yeah, this is the exact position in my head. So have a look and go from here if you don't see the board. So two knights are developed. I want to play the move d4, and that's going to be a good move. So I'll play the move d4. They play the move bishop to b4. Bishop b4. Oh, strange move. Okay. So they pin the knight to the king. But that was already the bishop they had developed, so it's not a very great move. I don't like the move. I think bishop d2 bishop d2 would be fine here if I'm getting a good grasp of this position. Yeah, I like the move bishop d2. I also don't have to worry about the capture. I can also play bishop d3. But it's kind of like I can play whatever I want and win, so I will play the move. You know what? Yeah, I'll play bishop d2. You know what? Why not? They play bishop takes c3. I will play bishop takes c3 as well. I'll remember the bishop is with the capital, not the pawn. So bishop c3, bishop c3. So now they still have a bishop on c8 to get out. They can still castle. And so can we. So we'll probably do that next move. Knight e4. Okay. Knight comes to e4. It does attack our bishop. But am I afraid of them taking my bishop? I am not afraid. The reason, I have a pawn backing me, and also I have an extra queen to them. So this is very bad for them. I will simply castle. And actually in that position, I'm threatening rook e1, which would attack the knight and attempt to win the knight. So I will castle the king. Unless yeah, there's nothing there. Yeah, castle. Bishop e6. Bishop e6 makes some sense. Or does it? I'm just thinking about something. The knight on f... There was a knight on c6 and there's a knight on... There's a bishop on e6. Yeah. And there's a knight on c6, I believe. Because the knight on f3 went to e4. So then d5 might be a fork. But I might be worried in that position. Because the queen is defending d5. But in that position, they might not play bishop takes d5. Which in that case, we should be okay. They could play the move long castle. Which maybe isn't as ideal for us. Yeah, I don't like that actually. So let me recount the position a little bit. So the same thing you should be doing. I believe we have castled the king. That whole castle section is static. h2, f2, g2. King g1, rook g1. Queen still on d1. Now we have... I think we have... Oh, we have a bishop on d2. No, our bishop is on c3, never mind. Bishop c3. A rook on a1. And we have pawns a2, b2, c2, and d4. That is the position. Now they have a knight on e4. They have a bishop on e6, a knight on c6, king on e8, rook on a8, and rook on h8. And they have all the pawns, h7, f7, g7, and a7, c7, b7. Okay, pretty good. I think I got that position in my head. If you haven't, pause the video, try and get that in your head. Now d5 I don't like because rook d8 will come and wreak havoc. And maybe queen e2. Oh, wait a second. There may be queen e2. Pinning the queen to the king. There if they play rook takes d4. Do I have to move rook d1? Oh, that's actually a nice calculation. Ah, never mind. The knight is not pinned to the king. The bishop is on e6. See, that's why we visualize. Yeah. No, so in this position we can just play it simply. We don't need to go for any tricks with d4. I think queen e2 makes a lot of sense. Queen e2, you just have to be worried about bishop c4 ideas, because the bishop's on e6. If they can play bishop c4, it would pin the queen to the rook. But bishop c4 is not playable because the knight's on e4 and the knight's on c3. So I think it should be the knight's on c6 and c6 and e4. So here I'll play queen e2. Where is queen e2? Queen e2, f5. Okay. Queen e2, they use f5 to defend. Here f3 makes a little bit of sense. Yes. I believe we're winning a piece here. f3 attacks the knight. The knight will have to move somewhere. It can take the bishop, which upon a trade I'm all good with that. The knight can also go to which squares. This is when it's good to visualize. So it can go to g3 square. That's nothing. We play h takes g3. The knight can go to g... Okay. It's on e4. It can go to g5, but... Okay, g5, nothing special there. f3, it goes back. And there's where when we had the move, d5. Now d5 would win the bishop because the bishop is pinned to the king. So I believe f3 is quite a nice move here. Yeah, and if they play the move knight d6 here, we still go d5. Yeah, so I think f3. I like f3. Our knight's not on f3, right? Wait a second. I think our knight is on f3. Oh, our knight is on f3. Oh, I forgot a piece. My bad. Yeah, this is something I didn't have it in track in my head. I realized it was a knight on f3. Yeah, I lost track of that knight. Yeah, I think then knight e5 is a good move. And the point is we're just using the outpost square. Yeah. I like knight e5. We're also threatening to trade. So let's play knight e5. That was my bad for the f3. Just so you guys get a quick visualization, the knight is on f3. I thought there was no knight on f3 and I could play f3, but there is no knight here. So knight e5 here looks plenty good. Okay, castle. Okay, now we can simply trade. Now I can play knight takes c3, b takes c3. And yeah, that looks pretty good. We want all the pieces off the board. Oh, knight takes c6, b takes c6. And now we have a knight, we have a bishop, we have a queen, we have two rooks, they have a bishop on e6, a knight on e4, pawn f5, and essentially they have a castled king, I believe. So rook f8 and rook a8. Now we could play... We could play the move f3. But we also can just bring the rook into the game with the rook e1. But I like f3 because the knight is a bit annoying, so let's play f3. And he plays knight g5. Okay, f3, knight goes to g5. We can play h4, chasing the knight further away. And after g4, after h4, sorry, the knight can't come to h7, it can't come to f7, there's a pawn. And can it come to... Can't come to e6. The knight is trapped. Wow, the knight is trapped. So if you have a look at this position, oh, the knight isn't trapped. Oh, there is no pawn on f7. Yeah, they played f5. Yeah, my bad. Well, I'm forgetting some things in this game. It's concerning. It's not like I just reacted to iShow Speed Play Chess and recorded 14 videos before this. Okay, I'm making excuses. Yeah, h4, I should have seen that knight f7 is playable. I won't play it now that I've seen the board. So I was trying to show you guys this, but apparently I can't see this. And apparently there was a free bishop. I guess there's no free bishop. Hey, oh, h4 I can take the bishop, yeah. See, I thought there was a pawn on f7, so none of the tactics worked. I thought h4, they would trap the knight was trapped, but the bishop was still protected. Now I realize, okay, f7, f5 was played, so the bishop would be hanging. So this is stuff that I miss as well. So you gotta really concentrate with the blindfold chess. You can't. This is what I was saying. I'm up a queen. I think, oh, I'm just gonna win. You have to really concentrate. So h4. Knight takes h3 check. We play g takes h3. And they play rook f e8. Okay. Knight takes h3. Rook f e8. Okay. So now what do we play? Now the queen is x-rayed. I don't really like that. I can play... Okay. I like a move like queen g2. And the point of queen g2, we're setting up some threats of d5 and checkmates on g7. So I like the move queen g2, so I'll play it. But queen g2, yeah, I don't need to be concerned about anything really. Queen g2, rook a8, so both rooks are in the game. So e8 and d8, bishop e6. And I think here I will play the move... Yeah, here the move d5 works like a charm. I attack g7, I attack the bishop, and this is simply winning. So I think d5 works like a charm. d5, g6, defending checkmate, of course. And now we just take on e6. So d takes e6. e6, yeah, d takes e6. Should be very good. a6, okay. So g6, a6 have been played. Now, I can simply bring the rook into the game and trade off a pair of rooks. So if I have to take stock of this position, and don't be overconfident in a blindfold game, because you can lose a queen at any time if you forget where a pawn is. So let's take stock of the position. For white, we have a bishop on c3. We have a pawn on c6 now. What do you call it? We just took on e6, right? Yeah. Pawn on e6. Bishop c3, queen g2. Okay, we'll start with the pawns. So a2, b2. a2, b2, c2. e6. f2. No, f3. f3, h3. Okay, f3, h3. Queen g2. King g1, rook f1. No. Did I play rook e1? No, I don't play rook e1. Rook f1 and rook a1. And black pieces, they have a pawn on a6 now. c7, c6. g6, h7, and a king on g8, and two rooks, e8 and d8. Okay, got the position. They can play rook e6. I don't know why they didn't. So I think the best now is just to play rook d8 and trade off the rooks. I quite like that idea. So let's play rook a d8. Oh, a d1. I keep mixing up black and white because I keep... I'm playing some games in my head as black. Okay, rook a1. Rook d6. Okay, rook d6. They want to... I don't know what they want by rook d6. I will just take it. But I'm also thinking, do I have the move bishop to b4? Doesn't that pin... Ah, yeah. No. Bishop b4 attacks the rook, but it doesn't do anything much. So let's take it. Rook takes d6. C takes d6. Okay, good. Now, we have a bishop on c3. And we have a rook that we can bring into the game to e1, because the bishop on c3 defends that square. So here we can just go for the rook trade. So we will play the move rook e1. King goes to f8. We'll play rook takes. Wait a second. Rook e1, king f8. I thought the rook was on e8 for the opponent. But apparently not. Oh, because I have a pawn on e6. Yes, I forgot I had the pawn on e6, yeah. So now I play f7, I guess. Yeah, let's play f7 check. Oh, e7 check. King g8. f7, king g8. Yeah, no, e7, king g8. e7, king g8, and now I can just bring my queen into the game and it should be all over. Red rover. I think I should be playing queen d2 here to get the queen down all the way to d8. Should be over. So queen d2 seems pretty good. d5 is played. Okay. I definitely knew they had a d pawn. No, I didn't. Ah, because they took on... Yeah. Makes sense. d5 is a good move. If I play bishop b4, c5, d6, e7, it protects the pawn. It doesn't do anything special. Other than that, I can bring the queen in via b4. Oh no, queen's on d2. I can't just magically teleport. So now we'll have a look at the board, because, see, this is when it's getting slightly difficult, but you can have a look at the board for today. But for the future days, we probably will avoid it. So here it gets a bit tricky, but we just have to get the queen into the position. So a move like, okay, what can work? Queen d4, queen a7 is working. Easier is probably even, yeah, just queen f4, queen d6 should be good enough, and their pawn structure is quite solid. So 8-7 g6 f5, d5 c6 a6. So we can just play queen f4 here. King f7. Now I like the move queen d6 here. d4. I think bishop takes d4 is okay. Rook takes e7. Okay, here we have a win. Rook takes e7. Now we can just play rook takes e7, and queen d8 should be mate. So rook takes e7. Where is it? And queen d8 should be checkmate. White won. So we won the game. This is the final position. And it's over. Red Rover. So I was going to play another game, but I think I'm going to call it there with the first game. I think tomorrow we'll play 2 games with a slightly higher elo. And we'll really try and push ourselves there. And yeah. So I'll see you guys all tomorrow. And we will be there playing blindfold chess. If you're watching this, I know you can make it.